What's up, everybody? David Shapiro here for another video. Before I get started, I wanted to just show you guys some numbers. And this is just, I'm still in awe. I don't understand why this is happening, but it is. So like view count is going up exponentially, watch time is going up exponentially, and subscribers are going up exponentially. So whatever I'm doing, you guys like it, so I'm going to keep doing it. Also, audience. There was, let's see, where is it? Age and gender. Okay, so this is fascinating to me. It's roughly 2/3 male, 1/3 female. It used to be a little bit more balanced, but it's becoming slightly less balanced. But most of the audience is younger than me. I'm 36. And so most of y'all are younger than me. So it's like, this is great. This is exactly the people I wanted to reach. Why? Because y'all are the next generation. Whatever I don't finish, y'all have to pick up the torch and carry. So anyways, with that being said, we are going to finish our creative writing coach today. So I started this because this was an idea from Reddit where someone said, hey, it would be really great if you could have a chat bot or something that provides like professional feedback about like tone and style, not just like correcting grammar and stuff. And I was like, got you covered. So let's do a quick review about what we did last time. Here, let me just go to the folder of our creative writing coach. Okay, so the first thing that I did was you need data, right? You need data when you're doing this kind of thing. You can generate synthetic data. You could ask GPT-3 to generate lots of like fake stories, and you could even ask it to do errors. There's a problem with this, and I don't fully understand the math, but part of the problem is that these large language models tend to kind of go towards the average, and so like and people on the community forum have noticed this, that it's like it's kind of the average of what humans produce, but what GPT-3 produces is still slightly inhuman. And so you're going to get much more variance, much more variability when you get data from real humans. So I just wrote this quick script to download a bunch of stories from Reddit, because there's a subreddit called Writing Prompts. Actually, here, let me just show you. reddit.com/r/writing prompts. There we go. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like, in case I don't know if I showed you last time. So basically what someone does is they post a writing prompt, and then all the top level comments, except for the first one, are stories. And they vary in length. Some of them are just short poems. Some of them are like novellas, basically. And so this is a great place to get training data for this. So what I did was I wrote a script that gets all well, first it gets all the top posts from that subreddit. So it says get the top for the last month. So this little string here, it says get everything for the last month, but put it in JSON format, so it's data. So this is what it looks like, but if you remove the JSON part, so the .json, you remove that, and it's just t-month. This says, okay, top of everything for the last month. So I did that because the top ones are going to have more responses. And so you see, like, you know, there's 193 comments, 162 comments, but we only wanted the top level comments. So we get the top posts of the last month, so that's this page. And then from within each of those, we get the comments. And so what that does is we say, okay, so comments, we get the first layer of children. And then we say for comment and comments, we get the data and the body of that comment. So we didn't recurse through because we don't want all replies. We only wanted the top level replies. So that's like, it would get the bot, so we'd get rid of the bot. But it would get like this one, which is a story. It would get this one, which is a story, so on and so forth. So that's what we did. So we downloaded, after cleaning it up, 388 stories of varying lengths. Excuse me. The longest one is, I think I already deleted some of the ones that were too long. There was ones that were like 18 kilobytes. But this one is 10,000 characters long. So that's probably a little too long. let's see how many tokens that turns out to be. So 10,000 characters, almost exactly. 2,300 tokens. Okay, so that can fit in the current DaVinci model, the text O2, because the maximum length is 4,000 tokens. But yeah, so it's roughly 4 to 1, because 10,000 characters is 2,300 tokens. Okay, so I'll update my ratio, because I had it as 3 to 1. So it's roughly 4 to 1. Okay. So that's where we're at. That's what we did last time. Let's see. The other thing that we did was I started working on the prompt. So let's see. We had, what was prepare prompts, generate completions? I don't think I got this far yet. Yeah. Prompts and, whoops. Come back. Slow down. And completions. Okay, we did try and generate some completions, but I didn't like them. That was the problem. Okay. Yeah, so this was as far as we got last time, where now that I'm up to speed, let me show you. So here's a short script that just generates the completions. Excuse me. And so I ran a few, and I was kind of not happy with it because it tended to give. I mean, the advice was good enough, but it tended to give it in a list, and I'm like, I don't really like that. Like, I want to see my feedback written like, written more like a paragraph. So let's say write 1 or 2 paragraphs. Okay, so we're at the point of prompt engineering. So what I've written here is adopt the persona, because once you tell GPT-3 what it is, you say like, I am this. Adopt the persona of a professional creative writing editor. We can probably even shorten this and simplify it and just say, I am a professional creative writing editor. Read the following story and provide me, well, okay, because I want it to write you. So, yeah. Actually, I think we do have to say adopt the persona of, because another problem with the feedback that it gave is that it says, where it kind of talks about the author in third person, but I realized if you're using this tool, you want it to be giving feedback to you, where it's like, it's not talking about your work kind of in an abstract third party way. You want it to be saying, you did this, do this better, right? So I want it to give feedback to me. So you have to be very mindful of point of view. So as a fiction writer, like, I'm very aware of point of view, but also understanding point of view and how large language models handle point of view is really critical for developing ACOGs, artificial cognitive entities. So we'll get into that in another video. But point of view, critical. So adopt the persona of a professional creative writing editor. So that's saying that's the model now thinks, okay, I am a creative writing editor, right? So that's its point of view. Read the following story and provide me detailed feedback. So it says, this is what I am, and I'm talking to you. So you're framing the whole conversation to improve the prose. Hold me to the highest literary standards. Feedback should be, let's see, say your feedback should be open-ended and include examples or suggestions. And then I added some framing here. The reason that I did this is because sometimes it got confused and would just continue writing the story. So I had story, like story starts here, then you add the story, and then end story. And then I added a bunch of white space. Actually, let's just do 2. Because if you use just a single line of white space, sometimes that just looks like a paragraph break. But if you do like 2 or 3, that clearly signifies, like, in your brain, it says, oh, this is a whole new section. But also GPT-3 learns that means it's a new section as well. Because from the large language model's perspective, it doesn't actually see space, it just sees characters. So it sees that. It sees /n/n/n, or sometimes it's going to be /rn /r/n, which /r is carriage return, so that brings the cursor back to the beginning, and then n/n is new line. And so if it sees 3 /n's, it says, okay, this is like a whole break. Whereas if it just sees 2, it's like, oh, that's just a new line. But in this case, when I have 3 vertical white spaces, that's actually 4 new lines total. So that just kind of says, okay, this is a new section. What am I going to do? Okay, so then the final instruction, one thing that I found for, especially for these instruct series prompts, is that if you give it the instructions at the beginning, and then you remind it of the instructions at the end, you tend to get really good results. So you'll notice that this is my standard format, where it's like, I kind of give it the framing, this is what you're about to read, this is a story, this is what I want you to do. So, because what that does is it primes the model, because the model, so in case you don't know this about GPT-3 and large language models, they have an internal state. That internal state is queued up by the prompt. And so that internal state is represented by an embedding. And an embedding is, well, one way to represent it is as a vector, which is embeddings are vectors. It's just a particular kind of vector. It's a long series of numbers. And so what you're doing is you're charging it up. You're priming it to have the correct internal embedding. And it's just the same as what happens to a human. Like if I give you instructions, I say, imagine that you're making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I gave you instructions, and now you have an internal state in your head. And so GPT-3 is no different. So we have to have a theory of mind to understand GPT-3's mind, right? And because humans have a theory of mind, we can anthropomorphize large language models, because it's like, okay, imagine that you just randomly grab someone off the street and you're giving them instructions. That's how you have to write GPT-3 prompts. Okay, so now that I've explained why it looks the way that it does, let's give this a quick test. So let's delete these. They're already saved in GitHub, so I don't mind deleting them. And they weren't the best anyways. Okay, so then generate completions. So basically, oh, and one other thing that I need to share is what I've started doing is breaking up the process into smaller and smaller steps. And so the prompts, I preload the prompts so that I can just feed them into GPT-3 one at a time later. And so that's fine. Let's see. So, but then we need to also prepare prompts. So by breaking it into smaller steps, I'm just saying like, okay, read these, make it, and then I added this little bit here where it will. One thing that I noticed that if the story was too long and it was cut off, my creative writing coach didn't realize that. It said this story ended abruptly, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's because it got cut off. So if we add something to say like story truncated due to length, the creative writing editor should know like, oh, okay, I didn't get the whole story, but what I did get is, good. Okay, so let's run that real quick. CD, and we're going to the creative writing coach, Python, prepare prompts. And this just runs in a second or two. So let's go to our prompts folder. You can see these were just updated. Oh, sorry, my dog's outside. I need to let him in. Be right back. Okay, and we're back. Sorry about that. Okay, so, oh yeah, we just prepared the prompts. Here, let me close some of these extraneous tabs. No. Go away. Cancel. Do not save. Okay. Too much noise. All right, prompts. So now we've updated the prompt where it says, adopt the persona of a professional creative writing editor, so on and so forth. Your feedback should be open-ended and include examples or suggestions. Excuse me. Now, give me detailed professional editor feedback with suggestions and examples to improve prose. Write 1 or 2 paragraphs. So I made a joke in YouTube comments that basically you have to use neuro-linguistic programming with GPT-3. So neuro-linguistic programming was invented in, the 60s by a psychiatrist. And it was basically like the way that you speak and the way that you frame things to yourself will change the way your brain works. And that, in terms of humans, it has been largely discredited. The most popular proponent of neuro-linguistic programming is Tony Robbins, who has been on the TED stage, so make of that what you will. But basically, like, if you say, I am an expert rather than I am an idiot, right? However you frame something might change your cognition. But the funny thing is how you frame something absolutely changes the way that GPT-3 thinks about it. Because if I open this with like, I am an idiot, like GPT-3 will act like an idiot. If you say, I am an expert, I am a creative writing expert, it will act like it. So actually I wonder if we should update the prompt again now that I'm talking through this. I'm telling it what to do. Okay. Yeah, because it's hard because if you like, it's a matter of who is me, right? If you use I and me, um, but I say I'm telling it give me feedback. So yeah, so I'm telling it what it is, but I'm wondering if it will be better. I need to read the following and give you feedback. I think there's a better way of framing this. Let's say I am a creative writing expert. Um, I have been a professional editor for 309 years, 30 years. Um, I am going to read the following short story and provide you detailed feedback to improve your prose. I will hold you to the highest literary standards, and my feedback will be open-ended and include examples or suggestions. Okay, so by framing it this way, because remember, GPT-3 was trained on writing, so I'm just saying like, okay, imagine that a helpful Redditor is writing this. So if a Redditor just like introduces themselves, I will read your work and I will provide your feedback. So this is what they might say. So I'm wondering if framing it this way will be even better. Okay, so then, because also this, we're cultivating in this, it is adopting an identity. I'm not telling it to adopt an identity. I just through neurolinguistic programming, this is what I am. This is what I have done. Okay, let's see. I will now give you several, one or two paragraphs of detailed feedback to improve your prose and style. Okay. This is cool. I wonder if let's see how this works. I've never written a prompt quite like this, but now that I'm talking through it, I think that this will be pretty good. Okay, so let's do the prepare prompts again. Let's make sure that they got updated with the new format. I'm a creative writing expert. Excellent. I will now give you one or two paragraphs of detailed feedback to improve your prose and style. Okay, so it should talk to you, right? No, don't go away. Whoops. Don't save. Okay, so now that we've got that, we're going to do Python and generate. So we're going to generate some completions, and we'll see how it goes. And I'll just pop them open as it's running. I'll let it generate like 5, and then I'll cancel it. Okay, it's still doing the list sometimes. Okay. So one thing about the Instruct series is that they're very finely crafted to do lists. They're really good at generating lists. I really wish that it wouldn't do that though, because it looks like 2 of these 3 were lists. Yeah. Come on, I said generate paragraphs. Okay, this one is good. One issue I see in this story, so this is the feedback that it would give you. So to the dude or girl who asked for this on Reddit, this is what we're aiming for. One issue I see in this story is that there is a lot of telling rather than showing. For example, in the second paragraph, the author tells us that Kate is considering abandoning her inheritance rather than showing us through her actions or thoughts. In the third paragraph, the author tells us that the factory is full of shadows rather than showing us through description. Oh, that's good. That's really good. I mean, I'm a member of a writing group, of a feedback group. This is perfect. Maybe what I'll do is I'll take my group members' stories and plug it into this and just read this to them. Another issue is that the story is somewhat choppy and disjointed. There is a lot of description, but it is often abrupt and does not flow smoothly from one sentence to the next. Finally, I would recommend using more active and precise language throughout the story. For example, rather than saying Kate fumbled with her phone for a flashlight, the author could say Kate searched her phone for a flashlight. Okay, either way. This would make the writing more lively and engaging. That's possible. Okay, you have great opening sentence that really draws the reader in. I love the description of the statue turning to rust. It's really evocative and sets the scene well. The dialogue between the entity and Cyrus is great. It's chilling and really gets the reader invested in the story. The final paragraph is a great way to end the story. Okay, so we want it to be more critique. That's good. You do want to provide positive feedback. Okay, so we need to do a little bit more prompt engineering. Okay, so let's open the prompt. I will now give you 1 or 2 paragraphs of detailed feedback. I wonder if it's the detailed feedback. Let's change detailed to critical, because I suspect that keyword detailed, because when you ask for details, it's like, oh, I need to list it out. But if I'm saying 1 or 2 paragraphs of critical feedback to improve your prose and style, let's do this. I also might switch to an older model, because the original Instruct beta tends to be a little bit better with creativity. So let's try this, and if it does the lists again, we'll go back to Instruct beta and see how that works. Okay. Wait. Cancel. I need to do the prepare prompts. CD Creative Writing Coach, Python prepare prompts. Check to make sure the prompts look right. Delete the completions. I will provide you critical feedback. Yes, critical. Okay, cool. And then, oops, Python generate. Okay, it's still doing lists. Let's give it a couple more completions. Okay, it is super fixated on doing lists. But the feedback is much more detailed. Okay, it seems like it's kind of bouncing back. Like it's still giving me numbered lists, but they seem to be in more complete paragraphs. So let's take a look at these. Whoops. Completions. Sorry. I was like, what am I looking for? Okay, so that's a paragraph. That's a paragraph. That's a paragraph. Okay, so these are just numbered paragraphs. It's kind of gross, but we'll go with it. Because sometimes it gives you just like, yeah. And so this one about Kate, about being, be vivid and detailed, show us, show us, show us. So this feedback is very consistent for this particular story. I thought of something else. So one thing that you're supposed to do with feedback, especially creative writing feedback, because it's so personal, is there's the compliment sandwich. So you're supposed to open with a compliment and close with a compliment, which is basically like, this is what you did well. And then you provide the harsh part in the middle, and then you say, but also, I really liked it, right? So let's see if we can get that. Provide you critical feedback. I will provide, I will also commend you where you did well. So that should be good. I will now give you 1 or 2 paragraphs of critical feedback to improve your prose and style. I will also use the compliment sandwich method of feedback. Okay, so let's see if it can follow that. All right, so we do CD. Whoops, not that one. Python prepare prompts. Python generate completions. And first, let's go delete the ones and clear those out. delete them. It'll overwrite them because all it's doing is it's giving the completion the same file name as the prompt, but I want to delete it so that way I don't accidentally get confused. All right, so make sure the prompt, I'll also commend you where you did well. Okay, compliment sandwich. Because we want this to be good. All right, generate completions. Because the thing is, like, if you're gonna, so this is while this is running, a cardinal rule of thumb. Oh, that's good. That looks good. Okay, a cardinal rule of thumb with automation is, yes, it might feel tedious to like get into the details to make sure it's perfect, but once you do automation right, okay, we've gone a few. Once you do automation right, it doesn't matter if you're doing it 100 times or 10 million times. If you've got your automation correct, it's infinitely reproducible. And so that's why I'm so meticulous in these videos. And that's why you notice, like, most of the time is just getting the prep, like laying the groundwork. Because once you get the right prompts, once you get the right data, that's most of the battle. After that, you just let it run and then you fine tune your model and it's good. Okay, so I think we've nailed it. Let's see. I think we got 3 for 3. Let's see, this was the prompt, so we can close that one. Let's see, the first few sentences, for example, the sentence still on the high of graduating together with masters could be rewritten as still riding high. The story has good potential, but there are a few areas that could be improved. For example, the dialogue could be more natural and less stiff. Additionally, the story could be proofread for grammar errors. Overall, this is a strong story with good potential. Well, that's not too bad. Very strong and immediately sets a tense and suspenseful tone. I love the descriptions. However, I felt the story lost a bit of momentum in the middle. When Kate is exploring the factory, it might help to focus on 1 or 2 key images or scenes rather than trying to describe the whole factory in detail. The ending of the story is very effective, and the image of the door slamming shut is particularly chilling. I think you did a great job building suspense and creating a sense of unease in the reader. Yes. So the reason that you also want to commend an author for what they did well is because it's not always obvious what they did well. And so when you tell someone you did this good, it tells them keep that, right? Keep that. Don't throw that out, but fix this other thing. So you have to do good and bad, right? You have to label the feedback as both good and bad. The first thing I noticed was that your story has excellent potential, but there are a few areas that could use improvement. For example, your use of description could be more concise and vivid. In particular, I would recommend using more concrete images and specific details to bring your setting and characters to life. Additionally, your dialogue could be strengthened by adding more natural-sounding conversation and making sure that each character's voice is distinct. That's a big problem that a lot of authors have, including myself. Overall, I think that if you focus on these areas, your stories will be even more engaging and enjoyable to read. Perfect. Okay. I think this is good. We're 3 for 3. I like this. So let me just do a quick git commit so we can preserve everything we've got here. Git status, git add all, git commit am. Really in love with this prompt and results. Running the full thing now. Okay, git push. And yeah, okay, so now let's do Python generate completions. So we'll let that run in the background. There's another script that I need to write, which is actually preparing the JSON, or I need to fix it. So I'll do this while the rest is running. For file and files, so I actually got this wrong because instead of prompts, I don't need the prompt because then we're doing the prompts. I need the stories. So stories. So we'll have the story, the completion. So the prompt is going to be the prompt plus /n/n. Actually, let's change this to story equals. And so then the story is, so the kind of clarifying, open file stories. So we're going to get the story. Then the prompt is going to be the story plus new line, and then what I usually do is do the tags, do the demarcation tag in all caps, because then it's very obvious that like this is the end. So professional feedback, and then add a space, and then the completion will be space plus completion. And I think that should be it. creativewritingcoach.jsonl. Okay, let's make sure this is running. Yes, good. Okay. Yeah, and then the last thing that we're going to need is the actual fine-tune script. So let me copy my fine-tune script from another one, finetune.py. Whoops, not recursive summarizer, creative writing coach. And then we'll edit this with Notepad++. And we're changing this. The name is the creative writing coach.jsonl creative writing coach. Okay, so that should be good. This is going to be a lot of data. Also, one thing that might happen is if this bombs on any of the, it shouldn't, because I have the prompt in there limiting the length. So if you look here in the prompts, the maximum size is 6 kilobytes, which is 6,000 characters. So you can see that like it is very much constrained, because one of the biggest risks is if it's going to be too long. That can cause it to fail. And what I don't have in my script right now, I should add this, is because if I get a bad output or a bad response, this script will bomb in the middle, and then I'm going to need to write something to just skip the ones that are already done, because you don't want to regenerate everything. Yeah, because, well, no, I do have a retry thing in the GPT-3 completion. Where is it? The generate completions. So right here where I have while true, try, and accept. So this will catch some errors, so it won't bomb. But if the prompt is just too long, it'll bomb 5 times in a row and then exit that loop. Also, if there's any like formatting issues that cause errors in file handling, that will also cause it to bomb. But so far, so good. So this will take a little while to finish. We've got 388 stories to do. And we're sitting pretty at 19, so this is going to take a little while to finish. So I'm going to pause the video, and then we'll get back once it's time to do the data prep and fine-tuning. Okay, not all is well in the valley. I'm watching it run, and there's I noticed that some of the completions are big, because you see most of them are 1 kilobyte, right? So you take a look at it. Your story has a lot of potential, but there are some areas that could use some improvement, et cetera, et cetera. That's fine. But then let's look at the bigger ones. So the first one that's 2 kilobytes says the complement sandwich is a method of blah, blah, blah. The following constructive, like, okay, I didn't ask it to tell me what the complement sandwich was. So in this case, all we have to do is just delete what we don't want to see. That's fine. This one, the opening of your story. That's fine. First, I will commend you on something you did well in the story. So it's like, yeah, we already did that. I think I know what I can do, though. I think if I change the prompt, feedback. So let's do that. That should fix it. Because now it's just saying, like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Feedback time. And since my script, so the reason that I can do that, I've done this deliberately, is that in my scripts, I have it. So see, for each file, it opens the prompt. Oh wait, no, that's not going to work, right? Because I separated the process. Darn. Oh, actually, I know what I can do. I updated that so we can get sneaky. Creative writing coach, Python. Prepare prompts. So now all the prompts are going to be updated behind the scenes. So there we go. Now that should be fixed. Okay. So, because if you're in the middle of a long run and you see some things, you don't necessarily want to interrupt it, because if you only have like 5 or 10 things that you want to fix before it finishes doing 300, right? You don't want to have to stop and restart. So got that fix in. All I did was do this for the prompt, because what it did was it queued off of this and just continued explaining. I was like, oh, okay. It didn't, with the semicolon, or sorry, with the colon, it didn't realize like, okay, feedback starts here. But now I just made it explicit. Feedback starts here. Like, this is what I'm going to do. Feedback. Okay, so get rid of that. So this is an example of a good one. You did a good job of setting the scene. Okay, one suggestion. The opening of your story is strong. That's good. First, I want to commend you. Okay, so those are ones that I had already fixed. So let's go back to completions and sort by size. So let's open all of them that are 2 kilobytes or larger, because those are the ones that are more likely to be problematic. Okay, the opening of your scene is good. Okay, that's fine. The opening is strong. That's good. It added some dashes. Don't need that. Praxeus new. Okay, so this one where this is an example of what I said where it just continued the story for some reason. I have no idea why that happened. GPT-3 just got it came up with its own idea. So these ones, like Praxeus new, without even the smallest nagging doubt, the former heart of industry seems so fragile in the dark. Oh, okay, wait, this is a great opening line. The metal once revered as the backbone of American society. This is great description in the setting. Okay, this is copying it too much. I don't want it to just like call each thing out. It's probably doing here is copying the style of Reddit, where you would quote something and respond to it directly. We don't want that style though. So we're gonna hold this one open because we're gonna change that. The treaty was a fragile one. Yep. And this is just repeating the story back to us. This one is the story. He roared again. So this is also the quoting thing. Positive. I like the opening. Yep. Okay, so we don't want this file. The compliment sandwich. That's fine. So we'll just delete this. Say the opening paragraph is very evocative. It sets the scene well. Overall, this is a strong story, but with a few revisions, it could be even better. Opening scene is very effective. Okay. Opening paragraph is well written in general. Okay. I don't like the format of this one. I guess we can close this since this is good. That's right. I need to close them if they're correct. Your opening paragraph is good overall. Interesting characters. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep the ones that need to be repeated, keep them open. That one's good. And that one's good. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that aren't good. So when you have this much data, you often don't need to fix them. You just delete the bad ones. So what I'll do is I'll wait for this to be completely finished. We're at 107 out of 388. Let's see how much this is costing, because some of you have questions about token cost. So each of these completions, 25 cents, 20 cents, 22, 36. So this is actually going to be pretty expensive. Oof. Okay, that's fine. How much am I at already? Ow. Oh, this is going to be a really expensive job. This is why I was waiting. So I started this project a while ago, and I was like, I'm about out of tokens for the month, so I'm gonna wait till June. So we're on June 1st, and yeah, I'm burning tokens. So they're on average. This is about the first. What is that? 90 or so. So 90 costs $6.23. So 388 divided by 90 times $6.23. So this is going to be $27 just to generate the fine-tuning data. This is another reason why I truncated it on length, is because it's like, I don't want to spend that much money. But it'll be good. We'll get good results this way. Also, let's see, a 1.2 megabyte fine-tuning job was like $40. This is probably going to be bigger, so this is going to hurt. How much is this already? Oh, that's not so bad. Okay, maybe this will be a smaller fine-tuning job. The novel writing one was killer because there was 200 samples and each prompt was really long. Let me show you how big that was. Automuse. So the data here, 1.3 megabytes. So it's total 1.3 megabytes. That was on, let's see, 5/23 was when it was last edited. So let's go to June and I can show you how much that was. Because I know just doing this while it's running and answering questions that you guys have had. Let's see, 5/23. Come on. Let that load. Let's see, how much do we have now? May 23, fine-tuning, one request. So the novel writer at 1.3 megabytes was a $38.61 fine-tune job. So that's just so that you know like how much this costs. So if let's see how much data we're at right now for the creative writing coach. So we're at 128 items, and that is the size is 115 kilobytes. Okay, so that's like roughly a third. So let's see, how many files did I? 128. Okay, so 388 divided by 128. So yeah, almost exactly a third times 115 kilobytes. So that'll be 348 kilobytes total if it averages out. So and then let's see, this one was it was like 1300 kilobytes. So 1300. Actually, no, crap. 348 divided by 1300. So this is just over a quarter of the size. So we multiply that then by, what was it, $38.61. So we'll expect this fine-tune job to be about $10. So generating the training data is very expensive, but hopefully the fine-tune job will be much cheaper. I could be wrong about all this. We'll see how it turns out. Anyways, we're about a third of the way done, so I'll go ahead and pause the video again, do a quick refresh. Yeah, so you see how there haven't been too many more additional large completions. Yep, you have a great imagination. Good. I don't like that one. I don't like that one. Yeah. So all right. So what we'll do is some of these are salvageable. We just need to clean them up a little bit. But then once we do that, we'll delete the ones that we don't like. Just because, again, we've got a plethora of data. If something's not good, just delete it because we want to have that consistency. One thing that happens with fine-tuning is that you can kind of smooth out rough edges because it'll take the average. Like if you have a handful of aberrations in the fine-tuning data, it's okay, which is why I often don't check the fine-tuning data. But in this case, I want to just show you, like, this is one thing you can do to clean it up to get more consistent responses. Okay, I'm going to pause the video now, and we'll be back in just a second. Okay, we're back. I chickened out because this was getting expensive. But we do have 202 completions. I've already taken the liberty of deleting the ones that were too big, too long, or didn't follow the correct format. So this is one example of, because, if you're an expert in fine-tuning or if you're familiar, you might be like, Dave, if you're going to use one prompt to generate all of your data, what's the point of fine-tuning? The point of fine-tuning is that you can look for those aberrations and remove them and clean up the formatting so that because the purpose of fine-tuning is to get very consistent results. Fine-tuning usually reduces creativity, but it increases consistency. And so it's basically like you can also embed multiple prompts. So in other examples of fine-tuning experiments, you'll notice that I use several kinds of data or several kinds of prompts and put them all into a single data set. So fine-tuning can allow you to combine different kinds of tasks different kinds of data into a single model, or it can allow you to get very consistent results. So essentially you get the same behavior every time. Yeah, so we've got 202 examples. The biggest one is 3 kilobytes. The smallest one, most of them are 1 kilobyte. So let's just grab the top several. Okay, your opening paragraph is intriguing, so that's fine. First, I want to commend you. Great. All right, we'll remove that because it doesn't need the bar. The first thing I noticed is your story is that you have a lot of interesting ideas. Great. First thing, the opening sentence is great. The opening is very strong. Opening is well written. Let me say I enjoyed reading your story. Very strong. Effective in setting the scene. Well written and engaging. Opening paragraph is evocative. Remove this. Overall, this is well written and interesting story. The start of the story is very strong. Your story has potential. First thing I noticed. Present tense throughout. Okay, cool. So those all look good. Let's get the next chunk. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just auditing the data. So this is a technique in data science where you don't look at every single one of them. You just look at a few of them to make sure that you just eyeball them to make sure that they look fine. So we're removing any artifacts that we don't want. And again, what this will do is it will fine tune our model to be very consistent. Okay. The opening of your story is very strong. Your story is well plotted, etc., etc. You'll have a lot of potential. All right. So I still found a couple. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going through these chunks until I don't find any that need correction. And it looks like maybe many of them do. The opening, okay, the beginning, your story, firstly. What I might do is just add a find and replace for this artifact because it seems like it's going to continue popping up. So what I'll do is I will do a find and replace to remove that. When I do the prepare data. Yeah, it's just going to keep popping up. Okay, so here's how we handle that. If there's a consistent artifact like that, when you have the format JSON-L, so what you do is you say, okay, for this, and then the completion, so we'll say the completion equals open file dot replace, and then we'll add that, and we'll say replace that with nothing, and then we'll do a, what is it, strip? Yeah, so that will remove any excess white space. So that should clean that up. That should be good. And I think we're ready to run this. So let me jump back over here and we'll do Python. Oh yeah, here's what we need to do. For file and files. So basically, here's what's going to happen. We're starting with the stories. Actually, no, we should start the other way. We should start with the completions. Because the reason that we're doing this is because the completions are a subset of the stories. And so it's like, okay, we need to match a completion back to its story. So we're going to get the list of completions. So we'll say this. So we'll say completion equals, and then story equals, oh yeah, we need to move this up. It is going to be stories.file. Okay. And so because since we've deleted some of the completions, and the completions are a subset of stories, we know that the story is going to be there, but if we enumerate all the stories, there's not a guarantee the completion will be there. So this should be right. It should not bomb out. So one rule of thumb is you shouldn't use the try except in Python to compensate for bad code or bad data. I use it because the API might be unreliable, right? But if you do a try except here, you might end up with an entire block of bad data. I've done that before. So you generally errors. One rule of thumb is that errors are there for a reason, and you want to see them. So like if I did this wrong, right? If I hadn't swapped completions and stories, then it would error out. And I want to see that because I don't want to make assumptions about the quality of the data. Okay, so format, JSON-L. Okay, it did not bomb, so that's good. So let's go and look at our Creative Writing Coach JSON-L. It's 800 kilobytes. So if I had let this finish, where it would have been almost twice as big, this would have been like a $60 fine tune. Why did it say empty inside? Oh, I wonder if that was the story. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So there's the prompt. It just starts with the story. That's fine. And then you see right here at the end, new line, professional feedback. Completion. The opening of your story is very strong. That's exactly what we want to see. Prompt. A girl's trip. A trip to remember. That was an understatement. Okay, so we go here. And then let's find professional feedback. That'll make it easier to see where the demarc is. Okay, so the beginning of the story is very promising, and I like the idea of two friends going on a road trip. However, the story quickly loses momentum in the middle. Great. So find next. Yep. You have a great eye for detail, etc., etc. The way you used Rust as a metaphor for the decay of civilization. Excellent. Oh yeah, so the fact that GPT-3 can understand metaphors is great because neuroscientists don't even understand how human brains process metaphors. So we've been able to recreate a quirk of biological intelligence, and we don't even know how it works biologically, and we don't know how the machine has been able to recreate it. So just wanted to point that out there, where it's like people that are suspicious of, like what GPT-3 is capable of, like it's smarter than you think. Okay. The fine-tuning data looks good, so I'm going to go ahead and run the fine-tune job, and then we'll test it, and we'll call it a day. Let's see, Python fine... Do I not have the fine-tune script in here? I copied the wrong one, I guess. Oh, I know what I did. I copied the wrong one from AutoMuse. There we go. This should be the correct one. Where did I save it? Maybe I accidentally deleted it. Okay. So we'll get the creative writing coach.jsonl. Update the file name, update the tag. Okay, that should be good. Python fine-tune. Uploaded, pending. Okay. One last pause, and then we will come back once this job is ready. We're back. It's finally done. Let me show you how much this costs, because I know you guys frequently ask this. So in total, it was 252 requests. Some were deleted, some were testing. We ended up with 202. The fine-tuned model was 800 kilobytes, and that was $24. Now, moment of truth. Let's see how it went. Go back to the playground. Let's go ahead and get this model loaded. It should be Creative Writing Coach. There we go. And then let's go to writing prompts. And we'll just grab one off the top of the stack. Because I'm not going to write one, and I'm not going to ask GPT-3 to write one. It would be a little perverse if we ask GPT-3 to write a story and then critique itself. Although you can do that. GPT-3 can be adversarial against itself. Okay, so we'll give it the story. That is 800 tokens. And then let's see, what was the demarc that I used? I think it was like professional feedback or something. So let me look at the, professional feedback. So we add some new lines at the end, and then we let it go. This might take a second to load because OpenAI with fine-tuned models, sometimes it takes it a minute to load it into its brain. Waiting. Drink some tea. All right, I'm going to pause it until this finishes loading. Not going to make you wait. Okay, success. It says, the opening of the story is very strong. You immediately set the scene and introduce the conflict. I especially like the way you describe the war maiden and the demon. The war maiden is very brave and determined, while the demon is sly and manipulative. However, I feel like the middle of the story drags a bit. The dialogue between the war maiden and the demon feels a bit stilted and unnatural. You also introduce a lot of new characters, which makes it difficult to follow the plot. The ending of the story is also very strong. The twist is unexpected and very clever. Overall, I think you have a lot of potential as a writer. With a bit of work, I think you could produce some really great work. Keep up the good work. And then it started confabulating. So fine-tuned models often do this, and I'm not quite sure why. Where it just starts repeating itself at the end. The reduced confabulation with the medical fine-tune bot that I did the same exact thing, where in one of the examples, it just started repeating HIV repeatedly, like it really wanted you to know about HIV. So it might be that what we need to do is add like an end of text token and then use that as a stop with these fine-tuned models. I'm not sure. It also might get better with more data because I'm using the bare minimum 200 samples. So anyways, it worked. I hope you like this video. Like and subscribe and tell a friend.